Hi, I'm Mr. G, and you're listening to Create, Explode, Repeat. Today I'll be talking with Angela M. Weber. You may know her as one of the sisters in the Doubleclicks. Today we'll talk about rolling a 19, hating music lessons, cats, and her most personal album to date. And we'll dig into the question, who's the bossiest sister? It'd be a gosh darn fiasco if you don't keep listening. I've known about you as the Doubleclicks for a couple years. I honestly don't even remember how I landed in the Doubleclicks world. I remember you did a Kickstarter.
Yeah, our Kickstarters were going at the same time.
Yeah. That's right. And I think I don't know if I was just looking around because I was involved with Kickstarter or if I had a friend that said, oh, you have to check this out. But I mean, I've just seen the way you approach, creativity. You're like a creative explosion tornado. And I knew you'd be someone I'd want to talk to. And I have another friend who does a lot of parody songwriting. And he had said, oh, you've got to interview Angela and you've got to interview the Doubleclicks and talk to them about, whatever. And that just kind of brought it back to my mind that you'd be a great person to talk to. So
sweet. Awesome.
Where did you grow up and where are you from? And let's start with that. Where'd you grow up?
Sure. I'm actually from Kentucky. We grew up in a really small town called South Union on 99 acres of farmland. And then when I was 6, we moved to outside of Boston. And my dad was a musician. He's a music teacher, professor. And so I started playing violin when I was 3 and just sort of made like weird radio play tapes. And we had a video camera and would just make like science shows, like basically the same science show with baking soda and vinegar over and over again. And that was like a big part of our childhood because we didn't have like cable or anything. We just sort of made things and had boxes of costumes and did strange things. So, okay, well, that was going to be one of my questions. I was going to sort of ask, what are your first memories of being creative? Did you always, I think some people they'll say, I'm not creative. Uh-huh. And other people, they feel they are more creative. And obviously I'm going to take a flying leap here that you feel like you're a creative person. When did you first recognize that you were creative? When was that? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just sort of the activity we saw to do. Instead of, we didn't have video games or anything. We weren't playing an existing game. We would just, make pretend, which is what my mom calls D&D to this day, is playing make pretend. And sort
Did
of
you play D&D with your mom?
Oh, no, but that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. My parents were not so into D&D. They thought that it was evil.
No. Oh, well, yeah, no, that's a bummer. But yeah, no, so we would just make stuff and write little songs. I was very fortunate because when I was a kid, my dad, as I said, is a music professor. He's a producer. And so we had like a music studio in our house and we were just in the presence of people who would come and visit and make albums. And so to me, it didn't seem like a strange thing to be writing songs and performing and stuff. It was just like, this is what people do, and people's dads go and play guitar in large auditoriums, and that's just what dads do. Where like if somebody grew up with a dad who was a doctor, they might think it more possible to grow up to be a doctor or a scientist, which was a thing that I never imagined was real. Since my parents were performers, it just seemed like the natural thing to do and just a normal part of life to be performing and creating. Oh wow. Okay, so you really You were in it. You were in it from the very beginning. That's so cool. Well, that certainly makes sense of a lot of how you, to me anyway, as a creator. That makes sense when I see, the things you're doing. That there was quite a long
process, of growth, that brought you to that place, where you're creating albums and you're touring and you're making videos, but you've been doing that since you were a kid.
Yeah. I mean, the other side of that was, of course, like I was taking violin lessons from the age of 3, and I was in school bands and that kind of stuff. And I hated it. I hated being told to practice, and I hated playing songs that other people wrote. And I didn't really start thinking about music as something I wanted to do with my life until after college, because the actual process of, if you want to be a symphony musician, if you want to play a string, like a violin for a living, you need to have started when you were 3 and play for hours every day your entire life. Like, that's just who you have to be. And I was not in for it. So music itself was so totally not my jam, which is sort of ironic because I did spend hours on it every week, but not the hours I needed to be spending. And it wasn't super, like, the actual skill part of music has never been a thing I'm very passionate about. I didn't like lessons and I didn't enjoy it. To me, it was just like the most boring homework, and I would have rather been reading or doing math problems or something.
Were you slated to be some sort of, concert musician? Is that were your parents heading you in that direction? Kind of like parents will say, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, and you're going to, or was it just you expected to do lessons?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't super overbearing about it, but I know that my father would have enjoyed very much if I had been like a fiddler. Like, I remember really hating Nickel Creek, the band. Are you familiar with Nickel Creek? I
am familiar with Nickel Creek.
Because my dad so strongly wanted us to be Nickel Creek.
Oh, like a family band?
Yeah, 2 siblings, and they started really young, and it was like not what, and it was a very, competitive and jealousy and stuff where and we would constantly be shown like videos and pictures and articles about like prodigy young musicians. And it's like, well, I'm not that good, so why even bother? Which I think a lot of people have a problem with. If you're not that amazing, why even bother? And it took me a long time to get over that. Because, you can't be the next Nickel Creek because Nickel Creek already exists. You have to be a completely different thing, and you have to do what you do best, which for me is a lot more about joking around than being a technically perfect fiddler.
Yeah, well, yeah. I relate to that too. I was never, I didn't start until I was much late. I didn't start at 3. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I picked up a guitar maybe in junior high.
Yeah.
And started messing around, and I took lessons, but I didn't, I didn't have aspirations of being. I could tell I wasn't going to be the best guitar. I saw it was like Eddie Van Halen was the guitar player at the time when I was learning, and it was like, I can't even. It's too fast. It's too fast for me, and I think I tried for a while. But so, how did you get over that hump? Where was that point where you said, I'm okay being, I'm okay not being the best. I'm heading to, I'm making geek rock, or I'm making, or I'm singing songs about cats and wizards. And how did you get to the point where you were like okay with that? Or are you still in the process?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it was a long time. Like I gave up violin because one problem with having a professional musician for a father was that I never understood doing music as a hobby. To me, it was just like, you're either being creative professionally or why are you bothering, which is a really weird situation. Like, I'm just now thinking about this now. Like, there's lots of people who just sing in choirs and have a good time, and that's fun. And to me, it was like, well, if you're not the best, then who cares? But I think eventually I got my head around it. I quit a lot of music and then started playing drums in high school orchestra, where I could be the best at what I did because I was the only drummer who could read music. And the only percussionist who knew like what notes were and stuff, which was very helpful.
The timpani, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. And mallet instruments and stuff. And then Aubrey and I started a rock band, which was very fun in high school.
What was that band called?
That band was called Charisma.
Charisma.
Speaking of D&D.
Oh, is that what it was related to?
I don't remember. It was I played the
hilarious.
drums, and I was a very typical drummer of like, I don't really care what the art is, and we had a very, very intense vocalist who would write the songs and a very, very intense guitarist who had a lot of very strong artistic ideas and aspirations. And I was like, I'm going to get snacks. Let me know when you want me to lay down a beat. But I do know that our nerdy fans would vandalize all of our posters and write Charisma 19 on them, which is a D&D joke. So
it's the highest you can roll, right? Is that the highest you can roll? Or
18 is the highest you can roll.
So 19, it's like 11. It's like turning your amps to 11 in Spinal Tap.
Exactly. It's so nerdy.
It's super.
So
Well,
nerdy.
see, I feel like I understand that now. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I played little snippets of Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and I do a lot through gaming, like just different video games I'll play now. That I'm like, oh yeah, that's a +5 staff of withering and a
+5. Come on.
I mean, I'm +8, 17. I should have made it bigger. +19, but I didn't want to go +19
full
right out of
ridiculous.
the
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Got to ease into it. I'm sorry. What were you were?
I guess. Let's see. You had asked how I started doing nerd music. I guess.
Yeah. When did you? Yeah. How did you make the transition? So Charisma.
Yes.
Charisma
that was in
a,
high school.
a step towards that.
Yes. And then I didn't do music at all in college until the very end when I picked up a guitar. I guess maybe I borrowed my dad's and realized that it was extremely easy to play the guitar. When you play guitar, you can play a whole song by yourself. So you don't have to be in an orchestra where you're just playing like the harmony third violin part, right? You can just make it by yourself and you can bring it to a campfire and people are singing and it's a good time. So at this time I was taking a poetry class and writing sort of snarky, weird poetry. And then I picked up the guitar and sort of was like, I could put these two things together. And I had some friends who were doing open mics at school, I was sort of inspired by that to like, oh, this must be possible. And then, I don't have a strong memory of what actually happened because it was in the middle of a very deep depression, which is a time when I don't form memories. But Aubrey brought me to an open mic where she had been playing cello with all these different bands, and it was amazing to play songs that I wrote in front of people. And they were comedy songs, so people would laugh and people would clap and people would be excited that it was something different than what you normally hear at an open mic, which is love songs and sad songs and folky stuff. So even though I was not that good at the guitar, it was still feeling like I had contributed something. And then we decided to go back every week, which meant that we had to write a new song every week. And then it sort of just snowballed from there.
That was amazing. That's a great. I don't know. Did you the song a week thing? I'll tell you. I don't know if you've ever heard of February Album Writing Month.
Yes.
Okay, that's where I got into that's where I learned that I believe that I could actually do songwriting like consistently. Like I was always amazed. How do bands go into studios and just write a whole album? Like.
Right.
How do they do that? And they didn't have anything prepared. Like that always blew my mind. And then I'd hear the stories of the albums that took like 5 years to make, like Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy, where that it was like the record that would never get made, or these big bands that'll have unlimited budgets and time and they never get it done,
Yeah.
And then there's people like you and your sister who are making a song a week, and some of them are just amazing, and I'm not going to over compliment here. I know that when you write a song a week, I've done that too. And some of my songs are just garbage. Yeah. But I know that if I don't write the garbage, that I don't ever get to those really cool songs. And how do you turn off the censor in yourself?
I think Colton says a lot of good stuff about this because he did song a week for a year. But basically, you just have to do it. Like you have to tell yourself, like, I have to write a song this week, even if it is awful. I have to write a song this week. Is going up Sunday night, no matter what. And And it's helpful, I think, to tell the internet that you're going to put up a song Sunday night. And so then you have accountability. And I think it's really important. Like, people can get really trapped in, like, I need to make this perfect, and then they never finish it, and then they never release it, and then they can never move on. And that's, it's not a problem that I have all the time, because I really just want things to be finished as soon as I start them.
Now, is someone now between you and your sister? Is one of you more the producer? You know, like, there's someone that brings a project together sometimes, like maybe the detail person. Would you say you're a detail person? Are you both detail? What? How do you guys? You obviously complement each other. You're still working with each other and doing things with each other. Yeah. So you haven't, your whole life together.
Yeah.
What are your roles as sisters in the creative process?
I'm sort of the bossy one, in that nobody can really tell me what to do, so I kind of have to tell us both what to do, otherwise it won't get done. And we both work together on, like, visualizing projects, but I have like office job experience and experience managing things, and I just love making lists and planning things out and setting deadlines. I was a newspaper journalist for a while, which is, I think, another thing that really helps me work with deadlines, because we always just had an overwhelming amount of work to do. There was just too much, but you had to turn it in, at 7:30 in the morning or whatever. So I'm very good at, like, making a plan, hitting a deadline, and moving on immediately. So that's sort of my goal. My job is the creation of the tasks and the delegation. And then Aubrey is the one with, like, the music degree and the studio and everything. We complement each other very well. I feel very fortunate that I am able to work with her, because we have a lot of obviously the same background. Right. And the same ideas, and we think the same things are good and not good, and we're inspired by a lot of the same stuff. And she brings things to me, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, this is wonderful. It's very collaborative, but I would say I'm the bossy taskmaster one.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah,
self-awareness. I don't think it's bad. No, I think it's great. I think the more aware I was, that kind of. I don't know, it was last year, your article with Will Wheaton's blog.
Yeah.
Finding the bear that helps you make things. I just the title alone was, I was instantly drawn in. And it's kind of about a lot of this, I think.
Absolutely.
Taking all the self-hate and
the depression and the self-loathing, and figuring a way to channel it into productivity.
I just think it's so cool that you could, I don't know, put that into an article, like to kind of focus that. It was great. Just really, really, really great article. And that's something I'm going to direct everyone to also.
Everybody.
And I'll be posting that link. Everybody, please go.
It's got cartoons. I drew bears.
There's amazing bear cartoons and amazing self-portrait and accurate display of a bag of chips and just so many things. All the things are in this article.
Accurate display of a bag of chips. I'm going to put that. That's my new blurb.
That should be your new blurb. That should be your almost your whole bio.
I think so.
I think it covers, like, just so much. Man, this is a great article.
Thanks.
When would you say you've been the most satisfied in your life?
Oh, wow. Creatively?
I don't know. Whatever.
When have I been the most satisfied in my life? Okay. Are you a Hamilton fan?
I'm not a Hamilton fan.
Sure. All right. I relate very strongly to the "you strike me as a woman who has never been satisfied" thing. I mean, it's partially one thing, but it's also like, I don't know if I've ever been satisfied, and that's why I keep making things.
Right.
I am. This is dorky. I am so proud of our most recent album, and it took forever to get done. It felt like we were living in hell, and we were crying a lot, and there was a lot of stress and yelling. But it came out so good, and I felt like we didn't sacrifice anything in it.
And you're referring to President Snakes.
Yeah, President Snakes. And I'm just so pleased. I'm so pleased with how it came out. I like our other albums also, but this one, because it was just Aubrey and I making it, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of it, and it was it's the biggest project we've taken on and that I've ever done, and it's very personal to me, and I'm not ashamed of it.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool when you can say that you guys fully produced, recorded, engineered, mixed. Did you take that whole process for that? Because I remember on Dimetrodon, it was
Mike Furman produced it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was amazing, and we learned so much from him, and he contributed a bunch of amazing ideas to that album, and I'm so happy we worked with him. We decided to try to take it on because this album has less comedy and more just personal stuff. But yeah, everything on it is ours, except for, of course, we did a cover song, which we did not write. But other than that, it's our whole situation.
What's your the cover of the middle is so good. So when I heard it, and that with the video, I posted that all over the place when I saw it. I just couldn't, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely the best version I've ever heard of this song. Because it's a great song. That it's still there. The Jimmy Eat World version is, they wrote it, and it's astounding.
It's amazing. That's why we like it. That's why we covered it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And you guys took it to a new place. It's kind of like how if you're familiar with Hallelujah by I always thought that it was written. It's embarrassing
for the Shrek soundtrack.
Yes. Yeah. Right, but the original the version that I knew was Jeff Buckley, and I didn't realize who had originally written it. So he had so embodied the song, and owned it. That it was definitely it's like Johnny Cash doing "Hurt." You guys definitely did something like that with the middle. Just so great. And posting a link. This will be in there, I'm sure. You've got to check out the entire album. So you said this is your absolute favorite thing you've done. What on here? You said it's very personal. Yeah. What on this album? What's coming from you? Are there songs where do you write all the lyrics? Do you both write the lyrics? Is there a division of labor, or how does that work?
I wrote, I think, all the lyrics on this album, yeah. I mean, some in collaboration with Aubrey. Certainly the ideas come from both of us, but the actual writing is mostly me, yeah.
What's something on here that you want to highlight or point out or tell people? Is there something you want them to get, maybe? Or, the hidden meaning, or maybe the backmasking that occurs somewhere that you want to point out, or, give us a little inside peek to President Snakes.
Sure. Let's see. I mean, obviously, I think Bad Memories, it's pretty clear. That song has no metaphor in it at all. And I'm kind of that's very scary for us because, even at the beginning, if we write a love song, it would, actually be about Dungeons and Dragons. Or if we write a sad song, it would actually be about World of Warcraft. You kind of hide the feelings.
Right.
But that one's got nothing. It's just so... but then that requires no explanation. This Is My Jam is on that album, and which is a song I am extremely proud of, and I love that people love it because to me it's about a lot of things. But I started writing it because I got real annoyed with people on the internet and in real life and stuff who can't just let somebody enjoy things. I was actually having this conversation with my boyfriend a couple minutes ago. There was an article on 538 today about IMDb and how Sex and the City is so poorly rated on there, even though it's won so many awards. And there's just data to support the fact that if something is not created for men, they hate it and they can't stand that it exists and they will rate it very poorly. Instead of just horrible. There's a billion other things that are made for you. Just shut up and go enjoy those things. Why do you have to,
go watch Expendables?
Why do you have to be so mean to the thing that exists that isn't made for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And people are the same way with like, well, I don't like Doctor Who. It's dumb. Let's talk about how dumb Doctor Who is and how the costumes are. It's like, I don't watch Doctor Who either, but I don't talk about it. I talk about the things that I do like. And that's sort of what This Is My Jam. Well, that's exactly what This Is My Jam is about. It's like, you don't have to like, I mean, and it's not just about media or, you know, you don't have to like that women wear lots of eyeliner. You don't have to like that, you know, a person does a thing that you don't find sexy. You don't have to care. And the line is like, and if you don't care, like what I do with my life, well, that's great because I didn't ask you. So it's a very cheerful song, and the video has a lot of dancing children in it. Are you in this video? I feel like you're in one of them.
I might be. Gosh, I don't know. I sent something in with my kids for one of them. I don't know if it was for This Is My Jam or if it was for
Burrito.
It might have been for Burrito.
Yeah. Well, it's a bunch of like cheerful children dancing around in this video. And it comes from a very angry place, but you know, like that is sort of what I'm trying to do with a lot of our stuff is that I get really angry. Like people who know me well know that I'm a pretty angry and grumpy person, and I'm not very friendly or pleasant to be around. But I try to take that and then turn it into something that will make people feel better and not make them feel the way I feel. And then them getting joy out of my anger then brings me joy. And so it's all selfish at the end of the day.
But a good selfishness.
Yeah.
The whole you have to like my thing, or I just want to be down on your thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish that could go away. I don't understand. Yeah. Is it human nature? Is that why?
It's people who are unsatisfied with their lives, and so they can't stand other people being happy. I've been there. Like, I understand that, but it's just, I hate it. So
right.
I have to whine about it. But, you know, it's like anytime somebody attacks me, I know that it's from a place of desperation and personal hatred, you know, but it's not like I can fix that, like, and I don't have to accept that that's a true thing about them or like a thing that's my problem. But it is a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, have you gotten a lot of like hate? So like the Gamergate.
Yeah.
You guys didn't. There was another song. I'm so sorry that I don't know the title of the song. You have a great song. And
Nothing to Prove.
Nothing to Prove. That's it.
Yeah.
I love that song. Play that for my girls.
Thank you.
I have 2 daughters, and it's great. You know, it's great that to have that understanding at a young age for everybody. You know, that you don't have to. I don't know that. Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit? Like
sure.
the origin story?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nothing to Prove is about the fake geek girl thing, where people decided that you had to be basically a white dude with glasses to be a nerd. And if you weren't, then if you didn't look like you automatically fit in the club, then people would test women or like say they were fake or like, you know, you're not really a nerd, like name all the Spider-Man or whatever. And you know, it made me really mad. And so we wrote this song, which is, the song itself is just my story of growing up a geek, but the video is over, I think it's 200, I want to say. Women submitted pictures of themselves telling their own stories of how they got into geeky hobbies and how they were then sort of people tried to shame them out of them. Geeky hobbies or professions.
It's very
because
powerful.
Of their gender. Yeah.
It's such a powerful video.
Thank you. I really, really liked making that, and I'm very happy that it went a lot of places. But yeah, back to the thing about hate. Of course, that was terrible comments-wise. Like, it got over 1 million views pretty quickly, and I had to turn off the comments because I wanted to allow them because there were really great stories of women that women were bringing in and talking about and feeling very therapeutic about being able to chat about it in the comments on YouTube. But there was so much vitriol.
Yeah.
And I was personally, like approving comments and erasing comments and stuff. And that just got to be too emotional for me to do. And I just had to turn them off, which was a bummer. And then we wrote a song called Love Song for an Internet Troll about that experience, which is just an angry song and not turning it around to be empowering at all. No. It was literally like, how can I turn this angry thing into a thing that makes me happy? I know, I'll make it a love song, but it is not happy at all. It's just like me sarcastically yelling at the internet for being
sometimes
humans.
The internet needs to be yelled at and put in its place. There are just sometimes there's nothing else that you can do. Yeah, but try to put it in its place, or at least feel better for having had a moment to, rail against the ridiculousness that is out there. Yeah. Let's see. What is your perfect cat?
Oh, okay. I used to I have had 2 cats in my life. Neither of them have been my cat, but both of them have been cats that were willing to hang out with me, and that I did not have to feed or clean up after. And to me, that's the perfect cat.
That cleans up after itself.
Well, that somebody else is in charge of and responsible for, which is just really great. I totally recommend it. A cat that you can just pick up and then will just like hang out with you, and then we'll sometimes come check on you and make sure you're doing okay, and then just sit on your laptop. Short-haired cats. I like short-haired cats.
Yeah.
The old neighborhood cat I had was named Zoso, who would just walk up and down the street and then just walk into your house and decide that you were hers and you needed to entertain her for the day, which was wonderful. And the cat I have now is my roommate's cat named Patrick Mewert, who is so loud and moody and weird and soft and perfect.
That's great. Yeah. And because you're out, I mean, you're out a lot, right? I mean, you're on the road quite a bit now.
Yeah, we're gone almost all the time. So I can't own a pet. I want to, but it's just not reasonable. Yeah. I would like to have a cat. I know what I'm going to name it. And it'll happen eventually once I'm done, being creative, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, you won't. You know what? You won't stop being creative. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't be touring. Maybe.
I know, but I
can't
need
imagine
to tour.
Stop being creative.
The problem with that, and this actually goes back to the internet thing, is that people are so crappy on the internet and so wonderful in real life. And so I can't stop touring no matter how tired I get, because the happy people who have a positive reaction, that happens in person so much. And so if I'm just at home, all I get are I found my favorite comment that we ever got today. And the comment is, "Nice song." And then in parentheses, all caps, sarcastically. He got me. He got me so good. It's just like
snarf.
Yeah, it's like, so I need to still tour so that I don't have to only deal with those people.
Because the people that are coming out to your shows are generally pretty awesome, super duper great people. I mean, have you had people come to your shows that are horrible, or no?
I mean, people don't have the energy to be at a show in protest. Like people who want to be mean on the internet or want to bring other people down just don't have the energy to go do that in real life a lot of the time. Certainly not for us. So yeah, no, those we have just the most wonderful audiences at our shows. It's really great.
Yeah, I've seen, and I haven't been able to come out and see. I really wanted to when you were in LA.
Yeah.
With three kids, it is definitely a lot harder to get out.
Yeah, that's and we've never done an all ages show in LA.
I know.
Which is my bad.
There are a couple. I'm trying to think. There's a great comic book store in Claremont that would actually might do something like that.
Yeah, I know we've tried to book a ton of them, but it's never worked out. But
the Folk Music Center.
Someday.
So Ben Harper, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ben Harper, but he's a pretty amazing musician, and his family owns this folk music center, folk music store in downtown Claremont, which is really close to where I live.
Oh, cool. Is that McCabe's?
No, not McCabe's, although that's another super great place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just called Claremont Folk Music Center, and he will go in there and work sometimes. And if you haven't heard him, he's ridiculously, amazingly talented.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Let's see here. The cat question. Oh, who would you say is your role model? You know, who is someone out there that you model yourself to? There's musicians that I know that I look to many times, you know,
Yeah.
who are people or musicians or both.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think you can't be anybody else, but I love Amanda Palmer so much. Just her, okay. I keep wanting to swear and then do it sometimes. It's not that she gives no darns. She obviously cares what people think about her, but she acts as though she does not give any darns. And she creates for the people who are going to like it and doesn't care about the people who aren't going to like it. And she talks about that in her book. And her songs are so extremely moving and valuable. It's something I really, really admire, and I love her very much.
Is there something by her that you would recommend to everyone to check out? Favorite thing? What is the book called? I don't know.
Her book is called The Art of Asking.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw you mention that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. Her book is great. She's got a song called, she's got a lot of amazing songs. She has a song called In My Mind, which I listen to whenever I need a reminder that you can't do everything. And you can't be everyone.
It's hard.
The message of that song is like, I always thought at this point I would have done all of this stuff. But I haven't. On the flip side, I have done all of this stuff that I didn't know what I was going to do, and it is physically impossible for me to do everything. So there you go.
Right.
And then if you want to just cry for hours and hours, the song, the Bed song off of her album she did with the Grand Theft Orchestra I literally cried for an hour while watching that song. And it wasn't the first time I'd seen it. And it's just a song about a relationship growing apart. And if you've ever been in one of those, it's a real emotional experience, and I definitely recommend it.
It's cathartic.
Yeah.
Weeping.
Yeah, she just knows how to put words together and how to put music to words. She's done some amazing stuff with Ben Folds and a bunch of other great people.
Oh, Ben Folds is great.
She wrote a song called the Ukulele Anthem, which a lot of people really, really like, which is about how it's not hard to play the ukulele and you don't have to play it well, but it is still good for you to create art and to express yourself. And, I mean, I don't know.
That sounds like a theme that runs through a lot of your stuff, too.
Yes.
Right? I think that's definitely...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So just check out everything Amanda Palmer's ever done.
Everything by Amanda Palmer, everybody. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you consider one of your more significant accomplishments in your personal or professional career as a entertainer or human being or whatever, or both?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think Nothing to Prove is probably the thing that has hit the most people. The Nothing to Prove song and video, I think it helped a lot of people bring words to the thing that, I mean, a lot of people had been talking about it, but because that particular song went viral, it helped some people put words to a thing that they were experiencing that they were unable to previously put words to. And that's a helpful thing for people who are processing and dealing with negative energy.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that. I don't know. We have a song called Clever Girl, which is a song about the velociraptors in Jurassic Park and how they have unrealistic expectations thrust upon them by society, by the scientific inaccuracies in that movie. And it's a song about body dysmorphia and, Hollywood and stuff, and magazines and things like that. But it's also just a song about dinosaurs. And one of my favorite things is seeing little girls sing along with that song, not knowing what they're singing about, or what the message of the song is. My ultimate goal in life is that if someday a person turning 30 can be like, I just got the message of this song that for some reason, my parents made me listen to when I was 4. And it's helped me without me even realizing. Like, I just want some human to have a song that I wrote stuck in their head, 20 years later or something like that. That would be really nice.
You haven't had that? No one's come to you? I mean, you've got to have had people come to you and say, this song has just meant so much. I know you have. Don't tell me you haven't.
Certainly. But the particular scenario I was outlining involved several decades of time.
Okay.
Passing.
Oh, yes, you're talking about the decade. Okay, looking back.
Yeah.
Because that I love a song that has, like onions, many layers.
Yeah.
Like Shrek's many-layered onion.
Call back to Shrek.
Going back. Because, taking something like a dinosaur, taking that line, and then making it into so many other things that you can take on so many different levels and enjoy it at so many different times in your life. It's just cool. And I mean, that doesn't happen with every song, right? I mean...
Sure, but the songs that I have always liked have done that for me, and it's always really fun for me to sort of figure that out. Like, I'm a huge They Might Be Giants fan. And, obviously they have songs that are just straight up riddles or things that you figure out. It's like, oh, this song is about a nightlight. I get it. But their songs also have really great messages that, like, when I was a kid, I didn't really get. But they're a very feminist band, and they have a lot of great songs about, like, you're great and you're worth more than this. And you don't really understand, like, when I was listening to their songs at, 12, 14, 16, like, I didn't, realize what I was listening to necessarily. And then there are also sad songs about love and all of these things that it takes a long time just because of their wordplay and their genius. Like, you keep understanding them as years pass. And they have been a big influence in my life.
How about Weird Al?
Gotta love some Weird Al. He's not got as many just outright feminist messages in his music.
No, he doesn't.
Good stuff about food, and a genius songwriter. Obviously, he's amazing. So.
God, there was So song story, like one of the songs that blew me away. I don't know if you're familiar with Semisonic, Dan Wilson.
I don't know if I am.
Okay, well, he's got a song called Closing Time with his band Semisonic. Closing Time.
Oh, yeah, I am familiar with Closing Time.
So it's pretty...
I know the story you're about to tell, but you should tell it for the listeners.
For the listeners, this is a great song, and you have to look up the story behind Closing Time. But I just always assumed when I first heard it that it was a song about, heading out of the bar at night. The store is closed. You can't stay here. You got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But the hidden message in the story, you got to share the hidden message. You know the hidden message.
Oh, sure. It's about when he had a kid. But you can't write a song about that. That's boring as crap.
People don't want to hear about your kids.
Nobody wants to hear about how you're an adult and now you can't go out to the bars anymore.
And I thought that was so cool. I thought it was so cool that when I first heard it, it just rocked. I just thought it was about nightlife and leaving a show and having to go somewhere else. And then as an adult later, hearing it as an adult with children, hearing that, that's about his kids. And it's like that, it's like peeling back that onion. Again, it's like hearing that Clever Girl is not just a funny Jurassic Park song, it's a whole lot of other things. It means so many different things. So that's just,
I don't think we're that subtle, but yeah.
Yeah, well, right. Maybe not as subtle, but, creativity is, part of what we're talking about in our podcast. Do you think, can people be trained to be creative? Is it a teachable thing? And if so, how can people become more creative? Because I think people are going to listen to this when they come back looking for things on creativity. And, what can they do to enhance that or improve it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that question, but I will talk anyway. Because to me, I feel like everybody has the potential to be creative, and there are things that stop you. For example, trying too hard to be like someone else, comparing yourself to something that you can't achieve, which is silly because you can't be anyone else. You are uniquely qualified to be you. So the thing that makes you unable to be, Peter Gabriel, I don't know why that came to my head, is the thing that makes you able to be Mr. G or whatever. It's, I think also, if you feel like you're stuck and unable to create, then you just need to consume. Because have you seen Everything as a Remix?
I've heard of that and I haven't seen it
yet. Yeah, it's on Vimeo. But it's about how everything is derivative of everything else, obviously.
Right.
Things that are literally remixes or samples or copies, but also how everything we do builds to more creation in the world. Somebody had to invent the guitar so somebody could play 4 chords, so those 4 chords could be the basis of every song. And it's not a thing to be ashamed of, to be derivative of another work, as long as you are able to transform and add something new to the narrative of the world. So I think just consuming stuff and different stuff and combining different ideas into things, it will help you be more creative if you have a lot of diverse influences in your life.
Do you have practices, like daily things that you do? Do you have a space, a creative space where you become creative? You know what I'm saying? Like a room or a location or a time?
No, I don't. And I mean, I know people do, and I've at times had routines and stuff. To me, I think I fear thinking and being in my head. I'm a person, especially recently, after I ended a long relationship that involved me being with another person all the time, I realized I had to be alone with my thoughts if I didn't stop that from happening. And so I will turn on a podcast all the time, or, silence the voices. And the thing that makes me creative is to have to sit alone with my thoughts, and I just take out a piece of paper and a pen and throw my phone away, and that's really all it takes for me. Sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes I'm not in the mood, and I have to force myself to be in the mood by just.
Well, you got 1 week. It's due Sunday night.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, and at a certain I've got writer's block, or I can't do this, or is certainly a legitimate problem, but at a certain point you have to stop letting yourself. Give yourself excuses and just bear down and make it. You have to go for that run. You have to lift your weight. You have to go into the world. You have to just make it. And that's, I could spend a long time creating an ideal workspace or a lot of lists or, a time or whatever, but I just kind of need an unfettered moment where I force myself to do something.
Do you give yourself deadlines of some sort or no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I give myself deadlines, but I don't think the creation of a deadline makes you creative. I think sitting down and making something makes you creative.
Right. The creation process.
Yeah.
There's a really, I'll throw a book at you that Stephen King wrote, a really great book on writing.
On writing, yeah.
I love, it's just excellent. It's just one of those books that I pick up and read and I get inspired, because I'm not a writer at all and I don't aspire to be one. But I see in him lots of the work behind creativity, which there's a lot of work, there's the crafting, there's the redoing, as a musician, you're working on a melody, or you've got the basic idea, or maybe you have the chorus and the verse, but you don't have the second verse, I hate the second verse. That's the first verse and the chorus are just all great, and then it's just that work of grinding out verse 2, which can be, but and you've obviously pushed through that because you had to, or you write a song that only has one verse and screw it,
Clever Girl only has one verse.
Yeah. So that's another thing I love about not having limitations. I think are good.
Yeah.
But I also think that I think because you become that band that never completes anything, or you become that person who says, "Oh, I want to write a novel." Yeah. But you don't unless you get to the work of it. Well, I know our time is wrapping up here.
Okay.
And because
it's gone by so fast.
I know, it went by really fast.
It's fun.
I feel like it was super fun. And I'd love to talk again sometime. But I wanted to ask you just for a few things. I know you're working on things all the time. You have all the things. And we didn't even bring up several of all the things that you do.
Yes.
So can you tell me some of the things that you want people to go and check out that you're doing right now? Because I know you
I
got
do
Gosh Darn Fiasco and Catty Bees and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'll just walk you through it.
Walk me through it. You could take as long as you want. I'll go over and you can roll out some of that stuff because we don't have to stop, but I definitely want to.
Yeah, so I'm in a band called the Doubleclicks. We have a bunch of albums on iTunes and Bandcamp and stuff. We have a monthly show on YouTube and a whole bunch of videos up there. And we're about to go on a huge tour this summer, starting on June 14th in Fort Collins, Colorado. We're going all kinds of places and eventually back to California. I know California, we don't have dates yet, but we have dates everywhere else. So you really should come see us, whether you are in Toronto or, Orlando or Texas or St. Louis, Missouri. We're everywhere. You're
going to hit all the major coasts.
All the major coasts. It's going to be a good time. I have a podcast called Gosh Darn Fiasco in which I play the game Fiasco, which is a role-playing game with improvisers, game designers, funny people, nerds, and friends. It is a new story every single time, and we just we make it up. We make it up based on some prompts from the Fiasco playset. You can check that out at goshdarnfiasco.com or just search the word Gosh in your favorite podcast app. I recommend it. I am extremely proud of that podcast. I also have a web series called Catty Bees, which I make with my friend Lucia Fasano. And you can find that on YouTube or just go to cattybees.com. And it's a feminist cat-themed advice show where we'll tell you how to do your makeup and how to make food and how to use the internet properly as a woman. So it's a lot of really great advice that is not at all just weird and sarcastic in any way. In that show, her ex is Kingpin from Daredevil. So that's a weird situation going on there, and there may be aliens, and I'm very proud of that as well. Generally, if you just follow me on Twitter at Angela M. Weber, you will find out about what I do, and I also have a tiny letter where I send out links to all the stuff I'm making, so sign up for that.
Okay, everybody, you heard Angela, and she said to sign up for it, and I expect you to go and sign up for it.
tinyletter.com/AngelaLaser.
Yeah, and I will post links to all the things in the show notes and wherever this cast ends up going. So
please do. I'm just making a bunch of stuff trying to figure out what I'm doing in this life, and I encourage you to do the same thing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and just hanging out. I appreciate it. I feel like I've peeled back the magical Shrek onion just a little bit on Angela Weber. And what's the M for, by the way? Angela M.
Yeah.
Do you share that?
I almost want to. I was the very funny author Sam Sykes, by his book, has started just coming up with various things that the M stands for. So I'm just going to leave that out in the world.
Nice mystery.
I would prefer, Angela Mystery Weber. It can be whatever it needs to be in the moment.
I like that. All right, it's like the mystery box.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Be safe. Go explode something. Go destroy something. Go create something.
Drive safe, everybody.
Drive safe. Be kind to your animals.
Don't get wet in the rain.
And stay dry.
Just safe.
And thanks for being here. And
yay. Oh, I'll stop recording too. Oh gosh.
This has been an interview with Angela M. Weber. Today, the M was for mystery. What do you think the M stands for? Leave a comment or tweet at her to let her know what you think it stands for. Please support Angela and the Doubleclicks and all things by supporting their Patreon, buying the new album, President Snakes, or just jumping in and saying hi on the Twitters. Special thanks to my viewers, listeners, and people who ask the great questions and give me the ideas for these podcasts. I'm your host, Mr. G, and you've been listening to Create, Explode, Repeat.